I showed you the Heisman odds a week or two ago, and they had Garrett Nussmeier as the second favorite behind Manning. So Brian Kelly's very excited to have Garrett back at school.
He is no athlete, in my opinion. You can quote me on that. Like, he is a clumsy white dude, and he sucked. I'm being nice now. Now all of a sudden you're talking about him being great? Oh, slow down there, Coach.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Do you think that there's a possibility that we could be looking at DeBoer wondering if he's the long-term answer at coach for the Tide?
I'm starting to feel like Alabama, I can't believe I'm saying this, Craig, is a sleeper. Fourth easiest schedule in the SEC this year. Ryan Williams is back. I think the friendly, these early season games against Florida State and Wisconsin, that is friendly for Alabama.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
So you're going to have the suck uniforms the entire season, but 3 games will give you with the best uniform. Those are the issues I have. The powder blues out for the Chargers. That should be every game. The Miami Dolphins old uniforms that they throw it back to. That should be your uniform, not the trash you wear now. The Patriots. You ever see them throw back with a little football player in the helmet? It is beautiful. But let's keep the trash uniform.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Obviously, he didn't do great in the last 2 majors, and we're going home here. We're going to Northern Ireland, Royal Portage. This is Rory's the reason why we're going here. Got off to a rough start, throwing his tee shot out of bounds back in 2019. I think he'll be ready. Not yet ready to call him the winner. I still have a couple of days before I do that, but it is a home game for him. And as you saw, based on this weekend, he is playing well.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Adam Silver addresses potential NBA expansion. Plus, was the home run swing-off a winner for the MLB All-Star Game? Hi, everyone, and welcome to Front Office Sports Today, presented by Atlassian. From FOS Studios in New York City, I'm Baker Machado.
And I'm Renee Washington, and thank you guys so much for joining us each and every weekday as we're chatting the biggest stories happening in the business and culture of sports. SEC Media Days have also brought plenty of talks around Arch Manning, Texas, and possibly the return of Nick Saban to coaching. But first, let's dive right into the shoot-around.
Yeah, big show today. Let's start with the WNBA All-Star Game just a few days away in Indianapolis, and concern how much hometown star Caitlin Clark will even be able to partake in the festivities. The All-Star Game captain and starter, who was also named a participant in Friday's three-point contest, left Tuesday's game against the Sun in the final minute. This due to an apparent groin injury that has sidelined her for multiple games this season. So the big question, Renee, how much of the All-Star festivities will she even be able to do?
It's a shame. It was set to be the debut of Caitlin Clark for the three-point shootout since last year. She took a break from the All-Star festivities and missed out on it. So being in her hometown, unable to play, and she's been unable to play in about half of the Fever's 22 games to start off this season. It's been a left groin, a left quad, a right leg injury. It's just been a tough time for Caitlin Clark. But for the W, lots to still look forward to. Defending champion for the skills challenge and three-point shootout, Alicia Gray, who nearly doubled her earnings in career, her salary, I should say, last year by winning both returns back. Plus, you also have 3 of the 4 assist leaders in the skills challenge. Lots to look forward to, especially financially, since we know Aflac's partnership has given 20 times as much as what the WNBA gives in terms of winnings, with $55,000 and $60,000 for the winners of those 2 specific competitions.
Yeah, good points. All right, let's move to the NFL, where 2 historic deals were just signed. Just hours after signing wide receiver Garrett Wilson to a new deal, the Jets also locked up Sauce Gardner with a record 4-year, $120.4 million extension, and that makes the 2-time All-Pro the NFL's highest-paid cornerback. Now, not to be outdone, the Chiefs and right guard Trey Smith agreed to a 4-year, $94 million extension, and that makes him the highest-paid interior lineman in league history, with $70 million of that guaranteed, the most guaranteed money, Renee, ever awarded to an NFL guard.
Yeah, we continue to see these historic extensions for non-quarterback positions, and both these 2 rightfully deservingly so. But when you look at the Jets, as you mentioned, Garrett Wilson, we just talked about him on the show yesterday. They lock in Sauce Gardner, and still some rumors with someone like, I don't know, Terry McLaurin out there that's in the midst of some contract disputes right now with the Commanders, that they might, with that under $30 million in cap space, still be potentially one of the landing spots if he was to get traded. So we might not see this be the last major move for the Jets, specifically with new head coach Aaron Glenn.
And look, it feels like every week we get a new historic deal that happens at one of these positions. Well, staying in the NFL, just days after Patriots owner Robert Kraft said that he took a big risk in hiring Bill Belichick to be the team's coach back in 1999. Bill Belichick is now saying it was actually him who took the big risk to join the flailing franchise. This after he was coaching the Jets. Belichick said in a statement to ESPN, quote, "I had been warned that the New England job was going to come with many internal obstacles. I already had an opportunity to be the head coach of the Jets, but the ownership situation was unstable." Wow, the drama in this one continues to get hotter.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots also took a gamble when they decided to have the 199th overall pick of the 2000 draft. And Tom Brady lead them once Drew Bledsoe went out for the remainder of the season. Listen, there's a lot to unpack here for the Patriots. Nobody expected Bill Belichick to be the NFL's all-time greatest coach, six-time Super Bowl champ, even though he was named after his godfather, a college Hall of Fame coach in Bill Edwards. But specifically for Belichick, his 25 years prior to the Patriots, very up and down, a 12-year stint with the Giants. He had a 10-year of just one winning season as head coach for the Browns. It was a risk, but I think for anybody from the Patriots, Kraft, Brady, Belichick, to talk about this Belichick-Brady era and taint it for us, we don't need this right now because they all took a chance when they became part of the New England Patriots, and it played out perfectly as lightning in a bottle of one of the best dynasties in sports, period.
Yeah, such a good point, Renee. Well, history was made in Atlanta as the National League prevailed in the MLB All-Star Game, all thanks to the first-time use of a little-known home run tiebreaker that was actually instituted back in 2022. So could the swing-off be a major boon for MLB and its media partner, Fox? Let's check that in our main event. And let's bring in FOS reporter Eric Fisher, who just arrived just a few hours ago from MLB All-Star Week in Atlanta. Eric, let's start with the home run off. Is this exactly what Major League Baseball wanted?
Yeah, the swing off, it was great. Great to see. This was something that was created in the last labor deal in 2022. Wasn't needed for 3 years. They sort of pulled it off the shelf. It's always sort of been there for these last 3 years is what the tiebreaker was going to be if they got into extra innings. And, this is how you solve this situation that nobody really wants an extra innings all-star game. You got all sorts of concerns about, are you going to run out of players and overuse and that kind of thing? It still is an exhibition game. And I was at the tie in Milwaukee in 2002. It was a terrible night. So this is a really clever solution that addressed all of that and provided a whole bunch of drama. So this is a big win as far as I'm concerned.
And now as we look back on the 5.73 million viewers that had a chance to watch Cal Raleigh's historic home run derby win, a 5% increase in that event, as well as the swing off to close out the All-Star game. The Major League Baseball All-Star Week is unique. I mean, top pitchers get to just throw an inning or less. Players don't have to play the same way of maybe the entire game. Do you feel like as we look at Rob Manfred's role in this, I know Alex Rodriguez mentioned get him a spot in Cooperstown for the work he's done with Major League Baseball. Do you feel like baseball specifically is more conducive for all-star formats, exhibition games, or is this more about Rob Manfred's impact on where baseball is today, or both?
So a couple of things in there. Relative to the All-Star game itself, baseball still has by far the best all-star game in major professional sports. These guys actually do play all out. Yes, they're only going an inning or a few innings at a time in the case of a position player, but you see the degradation of these events in the other leagues. This is still a real baseball game. Yes, it's an exhibition. Yes, there are modifications, but these guys are still cranking it up over 100. So and this is why they have the best ratings of any all-star game out there. As for Rob Manfred, it's still very incomplete. He's got some great things. This thing with a swing off, huge win, pitch clock, even bigger win. But there's a lot of time and a lot of big things to judge. We've got an ugly labor situation for next year that's developing. We've got a reconstruction of media coming in 2028 that's also unfolding. There's a lot that he's going to do with the rest of his term. And at that point, we'll have a much better feel as to what his ultimate legacy is going to be.
And one of the new features we also saw at the All-Star game that got its big Major League call-up was the automated ball strike system, or as I like to call it, the robo-ump. But it seemed like it actually worked. It happened in the very first inning where a call was overturned and got the call correct. How do you sort of feel like its debut was in preparation for this next season?
Yeah, we talked about this last week, and this was a expansion of what we saw during spring training. It was worked well then. It worked again really well during the game. Get ready for this to be a regular part of your Major League Baseball experience because it's coming.
Well, actually, to piggyback off of that, the swing off has been brought up of potentially being implicated as a future option for Major League Baseball.
Ooh.
We've seen robo-umps take the stage and
That's
shine.
not
Do you
gonna
see it?
happen.
No.
You're already
I
bashing
love
that?
extra
Wow.
innings, but there have been some that have mentioned, should we have the swing off instead of extra innings as a regular season rule? You don't like it though, clearly, Eric.
No. And if you talk to people like Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone, they feel exactly the same way.
Yes, definitely.
Very interesting. Okay, so as we start the second half of the Major League Baseball season, what sort of storylines are you still keeping an eye out for in this last minute with you?
A bunch of them. What's going to happen on that median labor front that I referenced? Can Cal Raleigh's march to history continue? We've had some nice increases in attendance and viewership. Does that continue? And what happens with these power teams that we've been talking about all year? The Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets specifically got off to great starts. They've been each scuffling a little bit more over the last 3-4 weeks. Can they turn it on, and are we going to see a World Series again with the titans of the sport?
Really quickly, Eric, yes or
Yeah.
no? Will my Colorado Rockies break the Major League record for most losses in a season?
Yes, I think they will.
Thank you very much. I'll sleep well at night. Eric, thank you so very much. FOS reporter Eric Fisher joining us. Coming up next, guys, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver talks potential expansion. What cities is he talking about? And all other big deals. We're talking about that next on FOS Today when we return.
Like Montreal, has a new coach. Like I might be the new coach of Montreal in 2 weeks. Like they have a new coach all the time, and they always have, oh yeah, we're playing a new system. They're like, they have a bunch of 20-year-old players and kids on the pitch. Anyone that's good, they sell and they trade for money all the time. Like it's a real disaster. But they hit a new low tonight, getting eliminated by the Forge.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Really would love to know what Jawan Jennings is after. If I were San Francisco, I'd hate to lose him. Not that I think he's ever going to be their best receiver on this football team, but you have a lot of question marks, right? We don't know how good Ricky Pearsall is yet.
We are asking ifs, if Ayuk comes back and is healthy, if McCaffrey can be healthy, all these things. So why not just take the thing that works and just keep it?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
His run in Salt Lake is over, but obviously the intimidation of a guy that's been around that long in Gundy and in this guy, if you look at their cases, they're very similar. It's been going on forever, right? And it's time for a change, I think, in Stillwater and in Salt Lake. I got to be honest with you. And believe me, if they lose again, they're going to get rid of him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker, do you know, in those 2 years, actually makes more in his salary than the entire Miami Marlins payroll this year, which I think is at like $62 million. That's a 72.5. I'm just doing the math really quickly. So one guy's worth more than 25, but we know how bad the Miami Marlins is. But hey, I just talk hoops.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee. I'm Baker. And after the offseason Board of Governors meeting, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver in Vegas discussed potential expansion cities and a lot of things about parity within the league as well. So to discuss what exactly the commissioner talked about, let's bring in FOS reporter Alex Schiffer for more. So Alex, we'll talk about the Blazer situation here in just a little bit, but let's start about expansion. What did the commissioner say about cities like Seattle and Vegas maybe finally getting a team one day?
Yeah, he did not use those specific markets at all and was, in my opinion, pretty bland. This is becoming a longer will they or won't they than Jim and Pam on The Office. He said that the Board of Governors meeting resulted in them requesting the NBA office to do an in-depth analysis of expansion, which is going to look at economic and non-economic issues with doing it or not to do it. Economic issues, what will a city bring in revenue-wise, population, market share, et cetera, or market size, like a Seattle, to your point. Non-economic, like what will an expansion draft do with a talent dilution, right? So he basically said that that's the next step. They have 2 committees looking at those things, and at some point they will present their findings to the board, which tends to meet September, March, and July, and then they go from there.
Well, let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers because they are up for sale. Now, they probably won't sell for nearly what we saw with the Celtics and Lakers with that $6.1 billion and $10 billion price point. But something that has been brought up by Adam Silver himself is where they will play, since their arena that was built in '95 needs some serious renovations. What are your thoughts on his comments regarding whoever is to buy the team needs to also make sure to have preparations around where their future home arena will be?
Yeah, I think the Trailblazer sale actually is also a bit tied to expansion. We've talked about the Lakers and the Celtics sales being big indicators, but the Blazers are closer to that market size that we're talking about with Seattle and Vegas, right? So I think that they could go around $4 billion or so. That's around what they're valued, and that's what the number floating around is. But to your point, I've been to the Moda Center. It's not the nicest place. I don't know if anyone else has been there. I hope I'm not allowed back in Portland after this, but Adam Silver's point basically was he would prefer the team stay in Portland. I think there's a lot of local interest among owners, potential owners, to where that stays the case. But to your point, arenas are getting very expensive. We're seeing the Oklahoma City Thunder have a potential new arena up to $1 billion it might cost, and that's going to be part of this equation of, does that scare off bidders because that arena, it's right downtown? Are they going to move it? Are they going to just do a gigantic renovation on it? I think that that's going to be very interesting in terms of what do the Blazers go for, who buys them, and what is the built-in price of those renovations that I think are going to be pretty expensive?
Well, here's a larger question, I guess, existentially. This is a situation that happened with Seattle, similar situation with the Sonics, with the arena, couldn't get it built. The NBA clearly wanted to keep the team in Seattle, but they eventually moved to Oklahoma City. Is this a similar situation that we could see in Portland if they get an owner, can't get this arena, and all of a sudden they say, well, look, we need a team in Seattle?
I see where you're going with that.
I know, I'm getting very conspiratorial here, but I feel like a lot of NBA fans have seen this story before.
Yes. To quote Lee Corso, I'd say not so fast, my friend. I think the one piece you left out of the Seattle aspect, right, is that getting local buy-in, for lack of a better way to put it, with the citizens, right? Like the city did not want to give the Sonics the money they needed to upgrade Key Arena, now Climate Pledge Arena, right? I do not know the Oregon local political climate enough to know, are the citizens of Portland, if they have to have a tax added to their local taxes to help get this paid for, what their appetite is for it. I don't know the answer to that, but I think 2 things. I think that Adam Silver was very aware that that was one of the biggest black marks on his predecessor's resume, R.I.P. David Stern. And I think that, again, in my last point, that we don't know the buy-in of what Portland citizens would feel about a potential tax to help pay for some of those costs. But I could be eating crow on this, but Portland's a very big sports city. You've seen the buy-in they've had on women's sports before anybody. Providence Park, their NWSL team was pretty much breaking attendance records before anybody.
They're getting a WNBA team.
They're getting a WNBA team. That ownership group for both of those teams, the Bethals, are linked to the Blazers a little bit. So I think that there's enough local sports fandom there to where I don't think that city wants to lose its team, and I think that they would do what they can. There's been talk of Portland trying to get a baseball team, so I feel like that there's enough local sports interest there to where what your doomsday scenario is would not play out.
Well, I want to shift over to the CBA because Draymond Green has called out the CBA and how it's really impacted in a negative way free agency. Now, of course, for the Players Association, a new president in Fred VanVleet, who does replace C.J. McCollum, one of the people that caught astray from Draymond Green as well, as he called him out also. What are your thoughts on Adam Silver's responses, but even just this overall conversation around the CBA's impact on free agency?
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed Adam Silver's comments because I kind of felt like he was kind of saying, you, Draymond, kind of played a big part in all this. If we could step back to 2015, Draymond gets suspended from his flagrants in the NBA Finals. LeBron and Kyrie finish the Warriors off in Game 7. Draymond goes to recruit Kevin Durant. The Warriors form the super team, and Adam Silver says shortly after Kevin Durant signs that the CBA was not designed to have this many superstars on one team. Fast forward, now we have the second apron. We have teams being punished for being very high spenders. We just saw the Celtics break up their championship core a year later. I think you could go back and point to Draymond Green's flagrant and kind of say this is how we get started, where we get to the second apron. And Adam Silver's comments basically were that, teams that have benefited from the last CBA, the Warriors, might not be benefiting from it as much anymore because of what the new CBA was instilled to do, which was instill parity, punish teams for just breaking the bank on their roster. It's 8 champions in the last 8 years, I think is the number right now. I think that Adam Silver, while he did not smile, I don't think once during the whole press conference because I watched, I think that there was some irony or some tongue-in-cheekness of Draymond Green's the one saying this. Draymond Green also has 4 rings and played a little bit of a role in how we got here with trying to not have super teams anymore. So that was my kind of read on that whole thing.
All right, in the last 60 seconds we got with you, how does the LeBron-Lakers thing play out?
I think it's a whole bunch of nothing. I think that he's going to be in training camp to start the season, then we kind of go from there. LeBron's very smart. Any team that trades for him would probably be gutting. It kind of reminds me of the Kevin Durant trade with the Suns, right? They gave up 2 of their best role players in Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges to get Kevin Durant, and they lacked those exact kind of players, supplementary shooting and defense, when they had Devin Booker, him, and Bradley Beal and whatnot. So if I had to make a random guess, I think that LeBron finishes the year out with the Lakers, and maybe if he plays another year, it's elsewhere. But I don't think that a LeBron trade makes sense because it goes so far. You have to get so high to that $55 or $52 million number, whatever it is, with the salary match. Yeah. I think even like the Thunder, as much assets as they have, wouldn't look the same with LeBron, even if they had him with Shea and one other guy. So yeah. I think he's playing for the Lakers on opening night, and then it's a drama-filled season.
All right, Alex Schiffer, FOS reporter, thank you. We got more FOS today right after this break.
Oh, yeah, time for the sprint. Let's go streaking here. Don't I mean streaking through the quad. I mean streaking in Major League Baseball, which is what the Boston Red Sox actually are doing right now, Tom. 9-11, 9-12 on the rotation.
You have to put some stock into them, especially with their hitters. What the Red Sox are doing, they're scoring runs early, they're scoring runs late. Doesn't matter if it's a walk-off, they're putting up runs consistently, hits consistently.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
1 of 6 from beyond the arc yesterday. I think at best he's a reserve player, but again, that's at best for the next few seasons. I don't think he has a 7 to 10 year NBA career.
Most kids are like, hey, Dad, play another year in the NBA. Understanding that, like, hey, we get Dad home and it's fun to watch him on TV. But this kid is actually like, Dad, please play so I can play.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Obviously, he didn't do great in the last 2 majors, and we're going home here. We're going to Northern Ireland, Royal Portage. Rory's the reason why we're going here. Got off to a rough start, throwing his tee shot out of bounds back in 2019. I think he'll be ready. Not yet ready to call him the winner. I still have a couple of days before I do that, but it is a home game for him. And as you saw, based on this weekend, he is playing well.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Judge is great, but if you want to talk about full contributions to a team, maybe I'm biased as a former catcher myself, but I think Cal Raleigh's working a little bit harder than everybody else, and I think Cal Raleigh should be right in this thing. If he sets that single-season home run record for a catcher, I think that's probably what it's going to take for him to overtake Judge. I don't think it's impossible for him to get there. I think it's unlikely.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, friends, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington and Baker Machado. And the SEC wrapped up their media conference this week in Atlanta with continued talk of the college football playoff expansion, plus a new Netflix docuseries as well. So let's go to Atlanta right now, where our FOS reporter David Rumsey is at for SEC Media Days. David, good to see you as always. So what do you think was the biggest headline coming out of SEC Media Days this week?
Yeah, Baker, Renee, great to be with you as always. It's just July, but it seems like football is right around the corner. And for us at Front Office Sports on the business side of things, I asked Commissioner Greg Sankey during his opening press conference on Monday, what's the status of private equity coming into the SEC? Because last year, the SEC and Big Ten vehemently rejected some private equity-backed proposals for a college football super league. I said, hey, what about just, capital injections? Because there's so much money coming in sports and they want to get into college football as well. And he said the SEC is not ready for it right now, but they're keeping the door open. So I think that's something to watch as private equity continues to circle sports, including college sports.
And one SEC school that's favored to win it all this season behind the $6.6 million NIL valuation, one of the highest college athletes in Arch Manning, the Texas Longhorns. Now, apparently they are the team to watch, coming off of having about 8 million average TV viewers last season and a lot of hype around them for their deep run in the playoffs. What are your expectations and takeaways from just the conversations around Texas? And is Arch Manning going to be able to lead this team to the promised land?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, Texas has always been one of, if not the biggest brand in college football. And now that they're in the SEC, it seems to only be getting bigger, especially since they did make the semifinals of the college football playoff last year. I've been really impressed with Arch Manning as he's really taken this media circus by storm. He doesn't even say much, and there's still so much media attention around him. Very well trained from his family. Obviously, a lot of Super Bowl pedigrees there. So, yes, I think Texas is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger on and off the field. And, yeah, my goodness, if they could win a national championship, I think people might get a little tired of the Longhorns.
Well, we've also seen, Rumsey, all these Netflix documentaries from what's happening with quarterback in the NFL to Drive to Survive, and now the SEC is getting one of these as well.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. We saw a screener of the first episode this week. It kind of followed LSU and South Carolina, and what was interesting to me was the coaches are the stars of the show. There's players in there, don't get me wrong, but I spoke with the executive producer of the series after the screening, and he's the same executive producer of Formula One's Drive to Survive. So he's a British guy from the UK. Said he didn't know much about college football before doing this series with Netflix around the SEC, but it seemed like the logical place to start. Netflix really wanted it to be the SEC to dive into. And yeah, I think it's going to just continue to elevate the conference. And what league doesn't want a streaming series these days?
True.
And what league doesn't want the return of Nick Saban? SEC question that came out from the week that jumps out at me that Georgia's Kirby Smart mentioned it's not going to happen. He's happy as an analyst. But Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin saying he thinks that Nick Saban will return. What are your takeaways as we wrap up in this final 30 seconds? Will Nick Saban return to college football in some capacity?
If I have to say so, I don't think he will. He's 73 years old. He has a great gig on ESPN. He was very surprised when Bill Belichick dove into college football. So, no, I don't think he does it. But I think he's definitely fine letting there be rumors about him potentially coming back.
I like Nick Saban, the analyst.
Yeah, same. But you also know Kirby Smart's like, he's not coming back because I don't want him back. I want to at least win these SEC games. David Rumsey for us at SEC Media Days in Atlanta. David, thank you so much. And let's see what's bubbling over at the FO West water cooler. Well, Renee, golfer Xander Schauffele has won a lot of trophies in his career, including the PGA Championship and the Open Championship, which actually says those trophies are at his parents' house. But when he was asked where his Olympic gold medal is that he won at the 2021 Tokyo Games, he responded, quote, I actually have no idea where it is, to be completely honest. Renee, I mean, it could be in a landfill, it could be anywhere. Who knows where this is at? Do you know where all your trophies are?
Oh, yeah. They're all at my parents' house. They have a massive trophy display for my siblings and I. That's where they will stay.
Yes.
I do think, as Xander mentioned, he has a good point that he actually says of, like, what am I going to have a trophy room that I walk into and look at all the success I've had of winning PGA tours and Olympic gold and stuff. But I do think that it just shows, like, he's so successful. And when you have athletes that win this much, where should you put your trophies?
Right.
Where do you have a room? Do you have them at your parents? But I know we had Ken Griffey Jr. on our show, and he had his gold gloves behind him in his house. So I think everybody's a little bit different, but as he's mentioned, they are at his parents' house for the ones he does know where they're located. But this is just a classic mistake of like, oops, where do I put my gold medal?
I mean, yes, at least we know, I mean, at least we don't think it's stolen or anything, but we know, Jason Kelsey lost his Super Bowl ring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wasn't that like at a chili cook-off somewhere, which is like also the weirdest place to lose
and these are very expensive, by the way, and some of the most prestigious awards and trophies and rings that anybody can win, and they're just getting put into a Chili's bucket or a landfill, so we don't know.
We hope he finds his gold medal. All right, guys, coming up on FOS tomorrow, we're kicking off WNBA All-Star coverage in Indianapolis. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.